This video is about my training journey. I've been training for over 20 years. I'm gonna take you through different phases of my training over the last 20 years, and hopefully you guys will get some hints and tips that you can use with your training. Let's go. There'll be 5 phases in total. We've got 20 years to cover. All right, so let's start with phase 1 in 2003. I was 20 years old and training was very different then. We didn't have camera phones the way we do now, so there's not a lot of footage or pictures of me from that period. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. But I did do a lot of training. It was total body workouts. I'd go into the gym, and almost every time I went in, I'd bicep curl, chest press, that kind of stuff. I probably never touched legs at all during this period. Diet was irrelevant, right? I was a university student. I ate whatever I could get and I knew nothing about macros. In terms of cardio, at this point, I didn't have a car, so my cardio was walking. We used to walk everywhere. This then takes me to the first major roadblock I ever had in my training. I had a ruptured appendix and they took me in for a laparotomy. They slice you down your stomach, down your abdominal cavity, open it up to see what needs doing. This was major. The normal recovery time for this is sort of like 6 to 8 weeks. So I was out for quite a while. I came out probably the skinniest I've ever been since my teens. I was like a twig. My biggest regret about this period was the lack of pictures. It's amazing, right? You can make a lot of progress when you're starting from lean. I was so lean and skinny that my focus was packing on size. So I was just training and eating, training and eating. Every day was a freaking bulk day and it was fantastic. And I made some great gains. I'll be honest about it, my gains were fantastic. The thing about it was I wasn't really training smart. I was still doing that sort of total body workout. Any gains I made, they were either coincidental or just pure luck at this point. So I'd been a year and a half of training, let's put it, before I ever took my first protein powder. Let's not even talk about creatine. At this point, I didn't know what creatine was. So that brings us to phase 2. Phase 2, I'm just looking at it, it's 2008. So that was 15 years ago. I was finishing off my master's degree and I had a dissertation to write. So I moved away from my uni town, which was Hull. So all I was doing was in the library, in my books, typing up my dissertation, working out. I was working out loads. There were some times I could get 2 workouts in a day. It was brilliant. I started training with a more focused style. So I actually started training body parts, which was slightly better. I was eating a lot of protein, a lot of fish, and the impact you could see on my physique. And for the first time ever, I bought a tub of creatine to go alongside my protein powder. So the evolution is happening. I'm 5 years into my lifting and I'm still clueless compared to most people who are a year into lifting nowadays. Progressive overload became a thing. The ego kicks in at this point. I was trying to better myself and lift more on every single visit to the gym. Cardio was a swear word. I drove everywhere. Pure bodybuilding focus, and it showed. I had a neck that was extremely large, as you'd see from some of the pictures. I was probably close to the biggest I've ever been at this point. I'm gonna get bigger, which I'll talk you guys through. Remember the first surgery? So whenever they cut you open, these adhesions form in your abdominal cavity. So my small intestine got stuck on one of these adhesions into a nice little knot, and that section of my intestine just died. Another laparotomy. So literally following the mark and the scar of the old one, they sliced me down again, cut away the dead areas on both sides and kind of joined it back together. If you're squeamish, I should have given a warning. 6 to 8 weeks recovery time. Me being me, I really try to push it as much as possible, but I probably used the whole 6 weeks. You'll see what I looked when I came out. I went extra intense on my training just to, make up for that lost time. That brings us to phase 3. Phase 3 starts in 2017. This coincided with me moving back to London. I switched to early morning training, which means jumping out of bed really early, going to the office, training before work, and that routine changed a lot about what I needed to do. So my gym sessions needed to become more efficient. I started researching more what to train, how to get the most value from my limited time in the gym. And I started thinking more about my body composition. Legs entered the chat. What I did at this point was I moved to a push-pull legs routine. 2017 was the first time I suddenly went, oh, I'm gonna do push-pull legs. I'm 34 at this point, people. I've been training for 14 years. I also brought in a bit of cardio to finish my session. I was doing stretches. I was working my core a bit more. I was going hard. And during a squat, I herniated a disc in my back. It's never been the same ever since. And now I have removed back squats from my training altogether. And after that, my training had to be a bit more focused. I had to recognize my old age and try and make sure that I was doing things that were effective, but also safe for me. I would say this was the most consistent period of my training. I was on it. My diet was on it. I was looking at macros. I was keeping track of my food. I think I got the MyFitnessPal app and I used to keep a track on everything I was eating. It was chicken, fish, a bit of veg, chicken, fish. I also at this point decided to remove dairy from my diet. And this was the start of me eliminating things from my diet over time, which finally got me to the place I am at today. What's the surgery in phase 3? A double hernia. It shouldn't be something major for most people, but when you've got scar tissue and 2 previous abdominal surgeries, it becomes something entirely different. The injury to my back and the double hernia, I know for a fact they were connected. And that's one thing, people, you really need to pay attention to technique. Don't let your ego damage your body. I came back from the double hernia really quickly. I would say lifting heavy within 4 weeks of the surgery. Something else happened in this period. 12-year relationship that I had ended. When you're kind of living on your own and you have this space to yourself, it changes something in you. I went into this phase where I was eating, sleeping, working, and working out. I became addicted, I would almost say, to the gym. And it was somewhere around here that I then got my first fitness tracker because I wanted to be tracking the calories I was burning and so on. I became really infatuated in getting it right. So I got a Fitbit. I think it was called an Ionic. And this was great. I was getting my cardio in. I was keeping a deficit when I needed. I was on it. Everything was great. I thought, yes, I am at the peak of my powers. Nothing can go wrong from here. Well, I had 3 surgeries on my eye. Let's not hide from the fact you're looking at it right now. Essentially, I had an issue which was kind of related to nerve damage in the eye. The lid was closing, getting worse over time. They go cut a slit, try and put it all back together, lift it up. And you're awake when they do this, you know, seeing sharp objects coming towards your eyes. The rules around it was always 6 weeks minimum, no training. So 3 times in 2019, I was off for about 6 weeks. That was 18 weeks in total. Phase 4 started in 2020. COVID life, not the disease. I saw that as a bit of a positive because I made some major changes during that period. That wasn't a big start to phase 4. This was surgery number 4 on my abdomen. Pain in my stomach. I'm wondering what's going on. Getting worse, getting nauseous. By now I know this pain. I've experienced it in the past 2 or 3 times. So I knew what it was. Same, they followed the path of the old scar, another laparotomy. They cut me open, had a look, and they said they didn't see anything. Stitched me back together. And once the painkillers came off, I was in absolute agony. They went in again. They found something which is called intussusception. It's almost like telescoping. It's where a part of your small intestine goes in another part and forms a blockage, and you can guess where that was happening. It was happening at the point where they joined it together in surgery number 2. They chopped off a bit of my small intestine. I don't know if I've even got much left at this point. I'd lost a lot of weight, I'd lost a lot of definition. You know, it was just a tough time for me. And then I decided, okay, I need to start training again. So like everybody in the world, home exercises were the thing. So I was doing the home exercises, and one day I said, do you know what? I'm gonna go for a run. I just chucked on a pair of my old gym trainers, went for a run, and I managed to do 5K. Got on the internet and ordered a pair of running shoes. All this that I've just said is a journey towards the key part of phase 4. I turned into a runner. I was just running. I'd wake up, 5K, come back, get to work, and that was my routine. Kept me sane. I was getting better at running. The distances were getting easier. I was actually getting faster. I was now keeping an eye on my speed, you know, looking at other times, getting into Strava. I became a Strava person, and this was great for me. At the same time, at this point, I kind of thought about everything that's happened from an abdominal perspective. I'm gonna move to a meat-free sort of diet. So, gym's open. I started to shift back to gym work, and let's be honest, I didn't stay loyal to the running, almost looking for that version of me from phase 3. If you remember me around 2019, I was trying to get back to that guy. That was my training focus, and I was going hard on that. And then September, October of 2020, I started my executive MBA. It's so much more time effective to run. Out my door, I'm back in 15 minutes. Then I went for my first ever Dexa scan in August 2021. It really gave me an insight into my physique, and that was quite inspirational for me because it kind of said, okay, I'm on the right path, I'm doing all the right things. Phase 5 started with, you guessed it, surgery. Remember, I had 3 in 2019. This was eye surgery number 4, again, trying to correct the same problem. It was at that time I moved from Fitbit to Garmin. I wanted something to show all the metrics, all the health impacts of my training. Fitbit was great for kind of tracking, step challenges, and all that kind of stuff. That ecosystem of Garmin is really focused towards running and cycling, and it kind of pushed me to want to run more and push myself as a runner. It was no longer I'm running because I've not got enough time. I started having like slow runs, steady runs, fast runs, you know, all sorts, threshold runs. I started following the mantra pretty much. And it was in this year that I took part in some running event, took part in a 10K run, did my first park run, which I did in Copenhagen, Kingston Half Marathon in October, which was a car crash. Early in the year of 2022, I did another Dexa scan, and again, the progress was quite positive. Adding the running even more versus 2021 was not detrimental in any way. My body composition was in the right place, so I was very happy with myself. In September of 2022, I decided to convert the garage into a home gym. You've seen some videos that we've talked about the home gym. We're very pleased with it, and it was a game changer because now we were fully in control of our training decisions. This was now pure hybrid. I wanted to make sure that I could run as much as possible and train as much as possible. That kind of takes us to the end of phase 5, which is 2024. That's 20 years of training. The one takeaway for anyone is consistency. I never stopped getting back on that horse and getting back to training. So what for phase 6? Well, now I'm 40 plus. Phase 6 is going to be about maintaining all this work, maintaining the training ethic, maintaining the physique and the healthy lifestyle. I hope you've enjoyed following me on this nice trip down memory lane. Please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Take care.